Sheriff Todd Baxter, employees of the Monmouth County Sheriff's Office, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, employees of the Monmouth County District Attorney's Office, Policy Message James County Jr., Pembroke Town Court, Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court. My name is Chris Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. I have been in jail 6 times. 6 times the prosecutors not talked in court. What are the names of my prosecutors? You know these names. Deputy District Attorney Perry Duckles, Assistant District Attorney Mark Monahan, Public Defender Julie Sianka, Assistant Public Defender Mark Phillips. Send it to me. Just the 4 right here. Freedom of Information Law, 4. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you freaks and sociopaths at the District Attorney's Office and Public Defender's Office to send me these names. Freaks and sociopaths that have prosecuted me in total silence. Freedom of Information Law dated this August 21st, 2022, which is Monday. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester in Pembroke Town Court for John P. Munzer Jr. What is the name of the prosecutor? District Attorney Sandra Doorley. Is this Julie Hahn or is this not Julie Hahn? Who's now in Monmouth County Court, but she's not the victor. I know what that prosecutor looks like. I don't know the name, but you know the name. Perry Duckles, Mark Monahan, Julie Sianka, Mark Phillips. Just like you're going to know these names. This is the boy in front of Paul C. Metzler. I know what he looks like. He sent me to Livingston County Jail, Geneseo, when he didn't talk and make an argument that I'm committing a crime. That's because I didn't commit a crime. It's impossible for this boy to make an argument I committed a crime. What's his name? Perry Duckles, Mark Monahan, Julie Sianka, and Mark Phillips. Freedom of Information Law, documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester in Pembroke Town Court for Paul C. Metzler. What is the name of the prosecutor? District Attorney Sandra Doorley. So someone at the District Attorney's Office, one of you freaks, decided to elevate me to Alex Renzi. And who is it? It's the prosecutor assigned to Alex Renzi. I believe it's Sandra Doorley. I believe Sandra Doorley decided I should appear in front of this $208,000 fossil. Who is it? You know who it is. Perry Duckles, Mark Monahan, Julie Sianka, and Mark Phillips. Freedom of Information Law. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester, New York State Supreme Court for Alex Renzi. What is the name of the prosecutor? District Attorney Sandra Doorley. So the 4th one, on this August 21st. Defective documents of the case of Daniel Delouse III. I'm not going to go into detail about this because I could talk about this for 30 minutes. John P. Menzo Jr. Pembroke Town Court released his accused child predator rapist, Daniel Delouse III. Send me those defective documents, Paul C. Metzler and James Huntley Jr. Foil. Defective documents cited by John P. Menzo Jr. for the case of Daniel Delouse III in the Democratic Chronicle. Now, as far as the freaks at the District Attorney's Office, I have at least 3 freaks prosecuting me in total silence. So you can send this to me at 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, 14604. Or the email on here is my Gmail. cchichester@j04gmail.com. I have 100 different Gmail addresses. I don't check this every day. Send it to me. Mark Monahan, Perry Duckles, Julie Sianka, Mark Phillips. Send me the names of my prosecutors of silence. Because I will seek to spar and compel Division of State Supreme Court for every one of these freaks. So, payroll for the District Attorney's Office is right here. So for $113,000, Perry Duckles, you refuse to tell me the names of my prosecutors of silence because you're corrupt. And you, Mark Monahan, for $112,000, refuse to tell me the names of my prosecutors of silence because you're corrupt. So Lisa Gray is on here, the $87,000 counsel to the district attorney, and she'll refuse to tell me as well. You got your 6-figure assistant district attorneys on here: Matthew Schwartz, 106, Michelle Crowley, 100, Sarah Von Stradach, 104, Raymond G. Benitez, 104, Robin Catalano, 107, Elizabeth Buckley, 104, Michael Harrigan, 102, Elizabeth Buckley, director of local courts, where Kyle Steinbach used to be. I asked Kyle Steinbach repeatedly, Elizabeth Buckley, to tell me the names of my prosecutors, and he refused. Because he's the typical freak and sociopath at the district attorney's office. So Liz Buckley, I don't know you. And I will not call someone a freak and a sociopath that doesn't exhibit that behavior. But this is what I believe you should do, and I'm asking you that you should do. And you can do this. Redirect the defense away from Paul C. Metzer and James Malone Jr., the $28,000 hack and the $34,000 hack. Do you know Elizabeth Buckley when you're in there? Do you know what you don't see? You don't see a seat for you to sit down as the prosecutor. And then when you look to your right or your left, you don't see a seat for the public defender, defense attorney, defense to sit down. And then what you don't see, Elizabeth Buckley, is a jury box for a jury of 12. And then what you don't see, Elizabeth Buckley, is a witness box for witness testimony. This little room, Elizabeth Buckley, is a joke. And since you're an officer of the court and have passed the bar and attended 3 years of law school and acquired your JD, you should easily reach the conclusion that this little room, Elizabeth Buckley, is a joke. Elizabeth Buckley, is Penfield Town Court, as you understand a courtroom, a joke? I hesitate to tell individuals what they should think, even though I do that. I engage in that behavior. So I'm going to do that right now. Elizabeth Buckley, I'm going to tell you what you need to think about Penfield Town Court. You need to think that this room is a joke. You need to think that civil and constitutional rights are abridged in this room. And if it was a friend or family member of yours, Elizabeth Buckley, they had to go into this little room that's the equivalent of a Soviet Union show trial just to be declared guilty by these revolting, sick, evil fucking hacks, Paul C. Metzer and James Malone Jr., I'm confident you, Elizabeth Buckley, will reach the conclusion that the civil and constitutional rights of your friend and family member has been smashed into a million little pieces. So redirect defendants away from Penfield Town Court. Elizabeth Buckley directed the local courts so defense can receive a fair hearing. So, who is it? Tell me who it is. I understand if I'm not watched. I will take this link. I'll send it to District Attorney Sandra Doorley, where the language that's next to the link, both on the cover letter and the Gmail or the Proton mail, will tell the District Attorney of Monroe County to send me the names of my prosecutors, silence the addresses I just read. She will refuse because she's corrupt. So you're going to comply with 0. It's only 4 there, and you're going to be all for 4. So the corruption of the district attorney of Monroe County is a revolting, sick hack. Who doesn't know if she's a Democrat or Republican? She'll say anything. Here she is right here, Sandra Doorley. This is the card that comes back to me when I just register my return receipt, which you also just received. This is stamped August 18th. So I again sent you the freedom of information law on this August 18th. What I'm going to hold up here, it's going to come back to me at my box. It arrived here on August 18th. I went to the post office. The employee's name is right here that I'm not going to read because sometimes I can't make out the signature. You know, professionalism in the district attorney's office, but I can't even sign their names in a legible way. But there's the signature here, Sandra Doorley. I'm just read the date. Every single time this arrives at the district attorney's office, the freedom of information law, I'm telling District Attorney Sandra and disclose names of my prosecutors she refused. December 7th, 2022. January 19th, 2023. January 20th, 2023. January 24th, 2023. January 25th, 2023. January 26th, 2023. January 30th, 2023. January 31st, 2023. February 2nd, 2023. February 3rd, 2023. February 3rd, 2023. February 6th, 2023. February 10th, 2023. That's you, Lisa Gray. February 6th, Sandra Doorley. And then I'm back to Alex Renzi. That's not everything. There's a stack of cards there. Alex Renzi, who sent me into this $208,000 hack and fossil, has no idea what's going on, which I've said to him. I said, you don't know the facts, circumstances of anything, including Michael Houlihan, a perjurer, on my back porch. What am I talking about, Director of the Grand Jury, Michelle Crowley? You should know because I've been in contact with you relentlessly. So, this is it again. Well, it's attached to PDF. It'll arrive at your office, registered mail, return receipt, and you will still refuse to disclose names of process. What has arrived in your office is the criminal complaints. January 22nd, 2023. I'm going to read each one of these criminal complaints. This is notarized by Christopher Price, the Monroe branch of the Rochester Public Library. This is how I was told by Monroe County Clerk's Office, Jamie Morero, how to file a criminal complaint. These are the forms that are in your office now because they arrived on this date here and they arrived over and over. These forms here that are attached to PDF, at least I hope to attach to PDFs, are in your office, District Attorney's Office. The criminal complaints. There's not going to be any arrests, prosecution, there's certainly going to be no jail time, even though these are crimes. Because you freaks and sociopaths, the Sheriff's Office, the District Attorney's Office, don't know what constitutes a criminal act. July 22nd, 2023, Todd Baxter, Sheriff, 130 South Plymouth Avenue, Rochester, 14604, Sandra, Doorley, District Attorney, 47 South Pitcher Street, Rochester, 14604. Attached are 4 criminal complaints with this language. 1. That Richard J. Seaton, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, walked into the Penfield Public Library in Penfield, New York, ran at Christopher Chichester, slammed his arm in the head of Chichester, causing him to fall backwards and hit his head on the ceramic tile floor. 2. Nayraj and Layla Kumar Shah, 2033 Penfield Road, Penfield, New York, 14526, falsely reporting an incident of Christopher Chichester forming 26 Sanders from driving his walk through the parking lot next to his residence. 3. Antonino Spano, Fairport, New York, locked the front and back doors of the residence of 26 Sanders from driving Penfield, New York, without a court order. 4. Laura Rivers, Webster, New York, transferred the personal belongings of Christopher Chichester from 26 Sanders from driving Penfield, New York, to a store's locker, Webster, New York, without a court order. These are crimes. Each individual will not be arrested or prosecuted. There is a 1-day in jail served for these crimes to destroy my life because you are incapable of identifying a crime and you concoct crimes for an citizen hate human condition. Then these are links on here. Rejection, 413,918.42 cents. Perry Douglas, 112,508.75 cents. Mark Monahan. I'm telling you, Perry Douglas and Mark Monahan disclosed the names of my prosecutors. He refused. Unconstitutional, Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra, and Judge Alex Renzi. Unconstitutional for a number of reasons. A reason, I talked about Penfield Town Court in there. I believe it's unconstitutional for policy matters from Penfield Town Court to convene that revolting little room where the District Attorney's Office is not notified, they're not present to make an argument, were violently attacked by Richard Seaton and driven to Livingston County Jail in Geneseo. What that means on that day, when violently attacked by Richard J. Seaton Library, policy matters could send anybody in Penfield, New York, town of 36,000, to jail without the District Attorney's Office being notified or present to make an argument the defendant committed a crime. She could send anybody at any time to jail, and I believe that's unconstitutional. So, you'll see my handwriting here on your criminal complaint. That's in your office. I hope to attach this PDF. This is it here for Richard J. Seaton. Criminal complaint for him. No Republican. This is Christopher M. Price right there. I went to the Monroe branch. You should know that's on Monroe Avenue, and I believe you do know. Again, the clerk, Jamie Morero, told me it's the way to file a criminal complaint. It's Nayraj and Layla Kumar Shah. These freaks going to the sheriff's office by a parking lot that I have walked through 4,000 times in Penfield, New York, but not anybody else. And that's the lunatic fringe. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Because I'm looking for a photograph of the parking lot so I can show it to you. And it's falsely reporting an incident. I don't think you know that this is falsely reporting an incident at the District Attorney's Office, Sheriff's Office, because you freaks and sociopaths don't know what constitutes a crime. When Nayraj and Layla Kumar Shah go to the Sheriff's Office, the man will be arrested for walking through his parking lot. That's not a crime to walk through his parking lot. It is a crime for Nayraj Shah and Layla Kumar Shah to go to the Sheriff's Office and falsely file this report. And every word of it is a lie, which is right here by this cop freak Shannon Meyer. It's not a crime to walk through his parking lot. This is the false reporting of the incident. So, that's the criminal complaint for me. Antonio Spano, my landlord, locked doors and locked me out of my residence. So old it has a COVID marker on it. Know your rights. Again, you freaks and sociopaths don't know what constitutes a crime at the Sheriff's Office, the District Attorney's Office. Antonio Spano committed this crime. It is illegal for your landlord to change a lock, shut off utilities, and physically move your belongings without a court order for eviction. He did all these things. There is no court order for eviction. He took everything out of my residence. When I'm violently attacked by Richard J. Seaton, driven to Livingston County Jail, I do not know this 80-year-old man, with my ex-girlfriend, moving everything out of the residence. But not everything is in the storage locker, including my 1,000+ books. The Great Gatsby is gone. The Old Man and the Sea is gone. My 3 copies of Power Broker by the great Robert Caro, the 1974 Pulitzer Prize-winning opus that I have read repeatedly, is gone, that I've had for 30 years. This old man is evil. And you will not arrest, prosecute, or jail him because he's 80 years old. Tell me who the freaks are. So, because before I was just read to you. So, Anthony Ospano, that's the criminal complaint for locking the doors and locking me out. Going around with my ex-girlfriend, I don't have any revenge in the heart for her. She's refusing to tell me what happened. We had this argument after our relationship ended about a bookcase. Where I have all my books. And I said to her, Laura, it's not your bookcase because you didn't buy it. There's no receipt. And we would have this back and forth in email where I'm telling her, when we no longer are together, you're not getting the bookcase. I'm not giving it to you. And that's all there is to it. It's my bookcase. When I went to the storage locker with Lori Pepper Lisiski of the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, the bookcase is not there. She just wanted to be in the residence to retrieve this bookcase. And she has other things that doesn't belong to her that I'm not going to go into detail now, but I will when I write to you. My ex-girlfriend is tearing my life apart and taking things to her new residence in Webster, New York, from my old residence in Pempton, New York, that she doesn't own. And my sister Barbara sent a taxi to Glenwood, Maryland, bought a washer and dryer in the basement that Anthony Ospano, Fairport, New York, doesn't own. And when he rented the residence, when he locks the door, locks me out, commits this crime, he goes down to the basement. He says to prospective tenants, this is a washer and dryer. And he's renting that residence. People are in that residence right now using over $750 a man washer and dryer that Anthony Ospano doesn't own. That has to be a crime. So, I'll say this again. Corruption, robbery, repetition. I repeat things. Laura Ryan, Webster, New York, transported personal belongings to Christopher Chichester, 26 Sandra Farm Drive, Pempton, New York, storage locker, Webster, New York, without a court order. That's it right there. Arrest her. You know why? Because that's a crime. Laura Riley, Webster, New York, committed a crime of taking everything I own to a storage locker, 1, and 2, keeping my property that she doesn't own and bringing it to her new residence. It's the notary right there. Michael Houlihan, this cop freak. You, Todd Baxter, Michael Houlihan, before he's hiding out the property, my 72-year-old neighbor, you know about him and that horrific incident. What's the horrific incident? Todd Baxter, the death of a human being with the $73,000 cop freak. He's involved in the death of a human being. You do not fire him. You do not take his weapon from him. And then he walks onto the private property of my 72 neighbor with $85,000 down Benedetto, runs at me in the middle of the night. I turn around and run away. I reach the back porch. I grab a hammer next to my mic. Cop freak Michael Houlihan grabs my arm. The hammer goes up and runs through the sliding glass door and never stop running. Houlihan and Benedetto have to come up with a lie. And they went back to the district attorney's office and told you, director of the grand jury, Michelle Crowley, that I swung a hammer at him. When the body camera footage shows, I ran away the whole time. And when you convene that grand jury, Michelle Crowley, and cop freak $73,000 Michael Houlihan states in the grand jury that I swung a hammer at him, Michael Houlihan purges himself. Text, criminal complaint for perjury for 73212 Michael Houlihan, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Quote, at 73312 Michael C. Houlihan, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, walked onto private property across from the residence, 26 Sandra Farm, John Pempton, or Christopher Chichester, that Houlihan ran at Chichester approximately 1 a.m. with $85,000 down Benedetto at the Sheriff's Office. That Chichester ran away from Houlihan and Benedetto, unaware of the identities. At Chichester grabbed a hammer alongside the residence next to his bike, used to fix the bike's tire. That as Chichester placed his foot on the first of 3 steps in the back porch, Houlihan grabbed his arm. The hammer in Chichester's hand is forced upwards. Chichester ran across his back porch through the sliding glass door. And as Chichester never stopped running, it is impossible to swing a hammer at 73312 Michael Houlihan. And that's the criminal complaint. Text. That's my handwriting right there. And here's a notarization by Christopher Price on this July 27th at the Monroe branch of Memphis Public Library. This is a crime. He lied under oath. I would have told you this directly to your face, Director of the Grand Jury, Michelle Crowley, District Attorney's Office, 47 South Issue, More importantly, I would have said what I said right here, right in front of the grand jury. You could have stood right in front of me, Michelle Crowley, in front of these 18 to 24 anonymous grand jurors and asked me question after question after question about this night. And you refused. I'm your ham sandwich, Michelle Crowley. So, on this July 20th here, it's the foil here again. On this July 20th, I give the names of my prosecutors' sons again because the freaks are right here. That's the payroll for the district attorney's office. Again, the documentation, I'm not going to read this again. Lomenzo, Metzler, Renzi. On this July 20th, who is it? You know $87,000 Mark Phillips. You know $140,000 Julie Sianka. You know $113,000 Perry Duckles. You know $112,000 Mark Monahan. You all know who it is. Who's prosecuting me in total silence? Before John P. Lomenzo Jr. in Pamphlet Court, for Paul C. Metzler in Pamphlet Court, for Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court. Who is it? So, now, on this July 20th, I hesitate to make predictions. Because I see it on television, on ESPN, when they make predictions, this is ridiculous. But I believe this will happen to me. Now, I've written this down. This is in your office. And when this happens, I'll have set it here on this Google product, this YouTube, and you'll have it in your office. I'll tell you what will happen to me. Psychopath at the sheriff's office under this bald-headed, being a Muslim clone, Todd K. Baxter, will drive up to me when I'm walking in Monroe County. I'll be taken to a corrupt judge. I'll be declared guilty of the latest fiction and lies. I'll languish in jail where I'm not told a sentence. I don't have civil and constitutional rights. I don't have due process because your boss, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, is a criminal. I'm not trying to engage in any type of hyperbole, exaggeration. She's a criminal. Conviction Integrity Unit. The District Attorney of Monroe County has to form a separate bureaucracy within the District Attorney's office to police herself because innocent citizens are in jail when prosecutors don't talk to court. How is any citizen anywhere in the state anymore, from Montauk to Buffalo, in jail one time when a prosecutor doesn't talk in court? And that's happened to me 6 times. But you smashing me into a million little pieces with your prosecutor's silence. So, now, this has been communicated to you again on this August 21st, which is a Monday. On May 18th and on April 27th, you got the foil here. Where on this May 18th, this is why you corrupt Michelle Crowley, and when I pursue your disbarment, I will send documentation to the, I believe it's the grievance committee for your disbarment, because you're refusing to answer this. I've written this, I think, 10 times. This will arrive in the district attorney's office in the next 7 days. I'm going to update this exact language, but you already have it. So, May 18th, Todd Baxter, Sheriff, 130 South Plymouth Avenue, Rochester, 14604, Sandra Doorley, District Attorney, 47 South 5th Street, Rochester, 14604. I'm going to read these numbers that has the language in 17, and I'm going to briefly say why I'm demanding this from you. Attached to 17-page Freedom of Information Law dated May 18, 2023, you refuse to comply with each flaw because you're corrupt. The language: 1. Information about the grand jury convened by District Attorney Sandra Doorley to target Christopher Child, just as 1. The month day the grand jury is convened. 2. The assigned District Attorney's office employee to address the grand jury. 3. The witnesses that testified to the grand jury. 4. The vote of the grand jurors. 5. The transfer of the grand jury proceeding. So, first one. Michael Hunan comes to you, Michelle Crowley, to the District Attorney's office, and he says I swung a hammer at him on my back porch, which is a lie. Why don't you call me on the phone, Michelle Crowley? Why don't you call me to the District Attorney's office? I could sat right in front of you. You could ask me question after question. More importantly, why don't you call me to the witness box to the grand jury? Because you hate human beings, Michelle Crowley, that's why. How am I indicted? Is it 18 to 24? If there are 24 grand jurors, is it a vote of 13 to 11? Does it have to be unanimous? I don't know. This is my life. And tell me how I'm indicted because of the fiction and the fantasy that occupies the head of cop freak $73,000 Michael Hunan. Do you understand me, Director of the Grand Jury, Michelle Crowley? Because this is a taxpayer-financed public proceeding where you're using psychopaths and freaks and sociopaths to violate my civil and constitutional rights. So, 2. Again, Richard J. Seaman walked in the Pamphlet Public Library. He's staring at my front door When I leave my residence for the last time, I don't know if it's the last time, follows me down Penfield Road, follows me down Bed Road. I stand up, he runs at me, slams his arm at the side of my head. I fell backwards, and my head hit the ceramic tile of the library floor. And I did not know I had $61.39 in my pocket. This check was reissued to me when I left Livingston County Jail, Geneseo, because I was holding it up on YouTube saying, this is the price of violence. Send me that money, Todd Baxter. 2, this is in your office. The issuance of a new check to Christopher Childs as I just bought for an expired check in the amount of $61.39 from the county of our office sheriff and May Fund account. That's the dollar amount in the pocket of Childs has been filing tax the Penfield Public Library by 75-904, which is received in the Monmouth County Sheriff's Office. The next 3, prosecutor's silence. This is why District Attorney Sandra Doorley is corrupt, and I'm confident the United States Attorney for the Western District of New York, Trinity Ross, will easily reach this conclusion because I've been in contact with her office for 12 plus months. Foil on this May 18th, where you refused, just like you refused Mark Phillips and you refused Julie Sian at the Public Defender's Office. This is information you have. Simple disclosure of names of prosecutors in a public proceeding. Documentation for the case of Christopher Childs and Paul C. Metz from Penfield Court was in the prosecutor Sandra. Documentation for the case of Christopher Childs and Paul C. Metz from Penfield Court was in the prosecutor Sandra. Documentation for the case of Christopher Childs and Alice Renzi in New York State Supreme Court was in the prosecutor Sandra. So there are 18 at the hackocracy there's New York State Supreme Court. He's not any hack. He's the supervising judge, which means not only does he have the awesome responsibility of murder trials in the New York State Supreme Court, he's the administrator as a supervising judge for the courts. Who decided to force me to Alex Renzi? Who is it? Tell me who it is. Employees of the district attorney's office who forced me to Alex Renzi. So, Paul C. Metzer, I went from Monroe County Jail to a place I don't want ever, I'm not going to say, where Dr. Jeremy Smith released me and said you shouldn't be here, where I don't have a 730 mental health evaluation. And when I contact the appropriate bureaucracies in Albany, Washington, D.C., I'm going to state the name of this place. I'm not going to state the name of this place in Elmwood Avenue. That's a 3-letter acronym because it's humiliation upon me. But I'm there without a doctor's evaluation. I don't even know that 730 exists. But you, Paul C. Metzer, know I was there because Todd Baxter gave you my private health care records. Because you stayed in this place and asked me if I was there. Because you believe in humiliation. More importantly, my former employers, the United States Senate, United States House of Representatives, passed the Health Insurance Privacy Protection Act of 1996 to properly protect healthcare records. My healthcare records, Paul C. Metzer, are not properly protected when you have them right in front of your hands because Sheriff Todd Baxter delivered them to you. So, on this May 18th, a copy of the private healthcare records delivered to $28,000 Penfield Court Judge Paul C. Metzer by Sheriff Todd Baxter in Monroe County in violation of the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996. Lunatic fringe, I don't think I'm going to talk about this, but on this building, I've showed this up repeatedly, is the camera called surveillance device. I hate to use that phrase. The public defender's office sent me the images of me on this thing. If I can find it here on all my papers, I'll show it up. I'll show it. It's a camera called a surveillance device. And you were lying about it because you know that there are mentally individuals that believe they're under surveillance by the government. Nobody knows what they're talking about. So I believe I have the picture over here. I'll try to find it. But you should know what I'm talking about. Ellie Roth, who works at this building, certainly knows what I'm talking about. 2025 Penfield Road. So the cost of surveillance device purchased from taxpayer dollars of Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter, the Fifth School Building, 2025 Penfield Road, to monitor Christopher Childs, 26 Sandstone Drive, Wall Street Parking Lot, and that's lunatic fringe. So in these next 2, I'm attempting to determine if there's sexual harassment at the Sheriff's Office and District Attorney's Office. I believe the answer is yes, because you're animals. I do not use the phrase in a full sexual harassment. That's limited. So, the cost to taxpayers of Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter suspended taxpayer hours of employment-related discrimination lawsuit filed with Title VII, Civil Rights Act 1964. The cost to taxpayers of Monroe County District Attorney Sandra Doorley suspended taxpayer hours of employment-related discrimination lawsuits filed with Title VII, Civil Rights Act 1964. The next 2 overtime time and a half. Again, why you're corrupted at District Attorney's Office and Sheriff's Office. Your employees can easily double their salaries. This cop freak, Shannon Meyer, was paid $67,000, and you gave a $16,000 raise to $83,000. Tom Baxter should be paid more money than you at $132,000 with overtime. So can Michael Julian at $73,000. So can Don Benedetto at $85,000. So can Leo Roque at $97,000. So can Andrew Yao at $82,000. So can Richard J. Seaton at $75,000. All those employees at the Sheriff's Office I just mentioned can all double their salaries at overtime, be paid more money than you, Todd Baxter. How many employees at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office double their salaries and pay more money than you, Todd Baxter? So, the Cost taxpayers of Monmouth County Sheriff Todd Baxter suspended taxpayer also employment related discrimination laws for fair apply Title 7 Civil Rights Act 1964. Pardon me, I already read that. The cost of overtime time and a half paid beyond base salaries calculated at the Monmouth County Sheriff's Office, Todd Baxter. Same thing for you with the District Attorney's Office. The cost for overtime time and a half paid beyond base salaries calculated at the Monmouth County District Attorney's Office, Sandra, Doorley. So there's the two I just read here. For overtime time and a half. Periodicals. Sandra Doorley is paid $210,000. Can you be paid more money? Can you double your salary to $226,000 or thereabouts? Be paid more money than Sandra Doorley with time and a half for overtime. Can you, Mark Monahan, double your salary from $112,000? Be paid more money than Sandra Doorley? What's the answer? And your refusal to answer is why you're corrupt. So, I don't believe I have this photograph. I may hold up. The cost of photography session, photograph 10 Monmouth County Sheriff Office underwater and pool approved by Sheriff Baxter. That's a lunatic fringe. I already have this one. She complied. Public defender Julie Siaka sent me her payroll. I was surprised at how large it is. I really was, because I had been down there to 10 North Fisher Street to meet with then Assistant Public Defender Regina Harper. I really was. I'm looking at this name after name on the public defender's payroll. And I should have been surprised, because you're freaks and sociopaths at the District Attorney's Office, and the Public Defender's Office has to be that large. So this I acquired. The names and salaries of every public employee at the Monmouth County Public Defender's Office, Julie Siaka. You just pick and choose what you will comply with. When I'm trying to humiliate you with the Freedom of Information Law, and that's why you refuse to comply. So names and salaries of every public employee at Pamphlet Town Court. This they're refusing to comply. What's that old lady paid at the window? Is Pamphlet Town Court just you, Paul C. Meltzer, you, James Finley Jr., the old lady? Is that it? So, names and salaries, this is why Alex Renzi's corrupt. It's not just him. He has clerks. When I used to walk by the Supreme Court on my way to the Russell Senate Office Building, when I worked for the United States Senator Olympic Stone, Maine, I really was in awe of the building. And I'm thinking about the book, The Brethren, by Bob Woodward, and other books about the Supreme Court, the long history of this court. And I would think about the clerks, because my friend Greg Wack, who was an attorney, the Georgetown University Law School graduate, would tell me about his friends that had clerked at the Supreme Court. And it is really incredible and awesome listening to stories, good stories, about the clerks and what happens at the Supreme Court. And what's not so good is that the clerks effectively run the whole place. I'd like to know if a clerk is running Alex Renzi, because he doesn't know anything about me. Nothing. And he's refusing to comply because Alex Renzi in the New York State Supreme Court is corrupt. I'll send this to him again. He'll refuse to comply, and it'll again be validation that Alex Renzi is corrupt. So, the names and salaries of every public employee in the New York State Supreme Court on the supervised Judge Alex Renzi, 99 City Boulevard, Rochester, New York. You sent Ryan Fisher to Atlanta, Georgia, Todd Baxter. This you're refusing to comply with. You sent your two employees paid more money than you. $163,000 Michael Fowler, $155,000 Corey Brown in Saratoga. What are they doing in Saratoga? I think this is $1,000 for Ryan Fisher. I'll have to check. Your employees are going to Atlanta. Fowler and Brown are in Saratoga. You testified before the House Rules Committee in Washington, D.C., Todd Baxter. That has nothing to do with law enforcement and how much was that trip. I'm going to sell you the foil for your trip to Washington, D.C. to testify before the House Rules Committee. You tell me how much it was, and you will refuse because you're corrupt. So, and the last one, this is where I believe removed from office. I've written this, I think, 20, 25, 30 times about your contract for firearms. The contract signed by Sheriff Todd Baxter to purchase firearms from Monmouth County Sheriff Office employees to include 1, the name of the firearms contract, 2, the number of firearms purchased, 3, the total amount of taxpayer dollars purchased firearms. So you got that for it. Now on this is in your office. Significant period of time ago, 1 to 2 months ago, May 18th, 2023. Or 2 months ago, I should say. So on this document that arrived in your office, and it would have arrived with you, Julie Siaka, which is sending my mail back to me at the Public Defender's Office. And when I contact Sabrina Lamar, the Monmouth County Legislature, I'm going to take pictures of these envelopes, where he's sending these envelopes back to me, refusing to disclose the names I prosecute. So on here, there are links. When you look at it, you can go to YouTube and type the title of this YouTube in there, and you can see what I'm talking about. Well, I said you're stupefied, Julie Siaka, because a public defender anywhere in the United States of America is stupefied in refusing to disclose the name of prosecutor for a defendant in a taxpayer-financed public proceeding. So stupefied public defender Julie Siaka. So stupefied $87,000 assistant public defender Mark Phillips Tell me the names of my prosecutors because I already read the foil and you know where you can reach me. So, psychopaths and Todd, Baxter, Sandra, Renzi, identification, prosecutor silence from Mama Kenny, public defender Julie Sianka, eviction. I'm talking to my ex-girlfriend Laura Riley, wrote the complaint about how I own nothing, have nothing because of her, how she's taking property she doesn't own and bringing it to her new residence, which I explained. Monstrosity, Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra and Alex Renzi, YouTube target, the grand jury of District Attorney Sandra Doorley. So I'm on YouTube. You, Michelle Crowley, director of grand jury, and you, Mark Monahan and Perry Douglas, so go to YouTube and type a target, the grand jury, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. Well, I'm going into detail about $73,000 perjurer Michael Moonland and $85,000 freak Don Benedetto hide on the private property of my neighbor. Employees of the District Attorney's Office, can the cops anywhere in the United States of America walk onto private property of a residence and wait for a citizen? Is that legal? Is that constitutional? I don't know, but you know. So, this received on April 6th, where I'm telling you to redirect defendants away from Pemberton Court. Corruption fanaticism in Pemberton Court, $28,000 Paulson Metzler. Mail names by prosecutor Association, whistleblower Rochester, New York, read the 6th PDF documentation resign. So, what I said here, I went into more detail about Pemberton Court here. This room is an abomination, a sickness. I never thought that I would be in front of genuine evil when I'm in front of John P. Lenzer Jr. Paul C. Metzler. In the evil that's just Pemberton Court. So, who's Frank Chernesky, Todd Baxter? You know Frank Chernesky. Am I right? About you knowing Frank Chernesky? Because Frank Chernesky, when I demanded length of service at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, I believe he's the old man at the jail. When I worked a long time ago for Majority Ralph Marino on the third floor of the Capitol's press office, there was a man who was past 70 who had worked for Governor Nelson Rockefeller. He worked on the fifth floor. And he didn't have a job. He'd walk around all day. It was really sad to see. Why couldn't he just get on with his life? And this man, past 70, died shortly thereafter. So, life, I'm sure you know who you know. Frank Chernesky is a 57-year employee of Monroe County Sheriff's. I believe he's the old man at the jail. If Frank Chernesky was hired when he was 18, he's 75 years old. Todd Baxter, is Frank Chernesky a 75-year-old public employee at Monroe County Jail? And what's the answer, you Benito Mussolini fucking skinhead? 57 years is right here. Carl Zimmerman, 32 years. Carl Zimmerman overweight. I'm not going to get into the physical training standards of the sheriff's office. You already know the answer. You have none. He was a veteran of taking the PT test, Todd Baxter. Push-ups, sit-ups, 2-mile run. It's different now. You have employee after employee after employee that's overweight, placing their own lives at risk around these violent criminals, sociopaths, and freaks in Monroe County. So, length of service at the District Attorney's Office. So Elizabeth Buckley, Director of Local Courts, your hiring date is January 16, 2007. So you've been at the District Attorney's Office, Elizabeth Buckley, for 15 plus years. Have you ever, Elizabeth Buckley, when you're in a courtroom, stood in stone cold silence and refused to make an argument that the defendant committed a crime as that defendant is delivered to jail? What's the answer, Elizabeth Buckley? So, on the payroll for the District Attorney's Office, are there minors on this payroll? I'm absolutely convinced that there are minors on the payroll for Sheriff Todd Baxter, and he's refusing to disclose that fact. So Elizabeth Buckley, Sheriff Todd Baxter paid $132,000. You're the director of the local courts, and you, Elizabeth Buckley, paid $131,000. Just $1,000 less than duly elected sheriff of Monroe County. So Elizabeth Buckley, for $131,000, the foil's attached. This is at 40 minutes now. I don't know if you watch me, but if you watch me at this 40 minutes, for $131,000, Elizabeth Buckley, director of the local courts, tell me the names of my prosecutors of silence. So, at the Rochester Public Library, there's this beautiful saying: the shadows will be behind you if you walk into the light. I go to the library and use the machine I have at. So it's right there. So I'm gonna be moving back to Albany, New York soon because I can't stay here anymore in Rochester, New York, Monmouth County, where I've lived for 10 years. Because I'll just be arrested by you freaks and sociopaths at the sheriff's office. Then a freak and a sociopath who doesn't have to talk to court will deliver me to jail, and I'll languish in jail for as long as you want to keep me in jail, where I don't have civil and constitutional rights. So I'm leaving soon, and when I do, I hope the shadows will be behind me as I walk into the light. My name is Christopher Chichester. I've been an innocent man my whole